Hey everybody, welcome back to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. I am Joe Labriola, and this is episode 37, the official 37th episode of A Matter of Life and Maiden. And today I want to do something a little different, something I've been thinking about that I haven't done yet, and I'm surprised I haven't done it yet because we're 37 episodes plus deep into this podcast with all the peripheral stuff and the episodes dedicated to Nico, Paul, etc. This is going to be my top Iron Maiden live albums, whether that's just an album recording or concert videos, concert footage, concert DVDs, etc. And this isn't everything. This isn't including like extended plays and some of the early stuff and some of the supplemental material on some of the DVDs and the live albums and things like that, the documentaries, etc. There's going to be parts of that stuff in here, but it's not the full-fledged thing. These are just my favorite ones out of all of them. So I want to dive right in to it, and I want to start with, there's going to be 14 of these. Number 14, coming in at number 14, and I combined it, it's the A Real Live Dead One live album. And the reason I combined this was because there was a real live album, and a real dead one live album. And a live one was everything post Power Slave up to Fear of the Dark at that point. So it covered songs from Somewhere in Time, Seventh Son, No Prayer for the Dying, and Fear of the Dark. And then a real dead one was all the stuff from the original Iron Maiden record up to Power Slave. So Iron Maiden, Killers, Number of the Beast, Peace of Mind, and Power Slave. And I'm sitting here thinking about it, and it's kind of cool because that was the first 9 records of the band, and in a way it kind of ties into the whole Run for Your Lives tour coming up when they're playing songs from their first 9 records. So I guess when you look at that, maybe take some tidbits and hints from that, because they might be getting a lot of inspiration for this new tour from this record. So I think that's pretty cool. But the reason it's in last place, I like it a lot, but the reason it's in last place for me is, Matt and I have said this before, we're bigger fans of live albums or live concert videos when they're set at a specific venue and you get the energy of the crowd all the way throughout and you're not changing from place to place to place. I will say, though, even so, this is pretty awesome. Like, I do enjoy it. I do like all the different locations, and they recorded these songs in a bunch of different locations throughout Europe. It was in 1992 and 1993, so the Fear of the Dark tour and the Real Live tour, and it was right around that time when Bruce was like kind of on his way out of the band, getting ready to leave and do his solo stuff. But there's a really good mix of songs on here. I think it's really interesting. It's a really cool album, and I listened to this a lot back in the day when I was trying to get into Fear of the Dark, and it's a grower. It's grown on me a lot, especially recently because I've been listening to it now for the last week or so, just trying to kind of get myself amped up for the Run for Your Lives tour and seeing what they're going to do, and kind of getting into that feel of the more No Prayer, Fear stuff, because if you're listening to the podcast, you know that I'm not really a big fan of those records. They're my least favorite. But I will say, even listening to it, it's getting me kind of excited. And I have been going back and kind of like cherry picking some songs from Fear of the Dark and No Prayer in the past week or so too, kind of listening to them with this record and some other ones you're going to see here. And I'm actually kind of getting really excited about it. So it's going to be something different and unique, I feel. And who knows, maybe I'll do another review of albums, and I don't think they're going to change positions, but maybe I'll rank them a little bit higher. Maybe I was a little too harsh with my rankings initially, but yeah, they're really starting to grow on me, and I think a lot of that for me has to do with the whole thing with Nico recently retiring from live touring and everything, and I'm just trying to be more appreciative of the stuff that they've churned out. But at the same time, I'm not going to say it's going to, change my mind 100%, and I'm going to have a completely different opinion about it, but maybe just respect it a little bit more and boost it a little bit more. So that's where I'm at with the Real Live Dead one. The artwork's really cool for both of the records. A Real Live one with Eddie with the power cord with the electricity, the power cable, and then the Real Dead one where he's like a DJ in hell with the 666 behind him and stuff. It's really interesting. I really dig it. But moving on from that, number 13 is Live at Donington. This was filmed in Donington Park, Derbyshire, England. They haven't reissued this. They came out with a VHS tape years ago, back in the 90s. But they haven't remastered this for an HD upgrade or reissued a DVD or a Blu-ray or anything like that. But the thing that was really cool about this concert was the Eddie. Mark Wilkinson, the guy who did recent stuff with them and some stuff in the past too, but more recently Book of Souls and Senjutsu designed the Eddie. He drew the Eddie for this too, and Eddie's like a winged vampire almost, and it was cool because the stage that they designed for this set had like the winged Eddie on top of it, like he was grasping onto the stage, like he was on top of it. It was neat. And then they had the Fear of the Dark Eddie come up for Iron Maiden and everything. Just a really cool concert. This one has really grown on me a lot too, and got me more appreciative of the Fear of the Dark era of the band. And I really do enjoy it. I've been listening to the crap out of this, more so than a Real Live Dead one. I listened to a Real Live Dead one once, and kind of picked a couple songs here and there, like I said, and listened to that over the last week. But I've listened to Live at Donington now like 3 times in a row, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I kind of didn't pay a ton of attention to it in years past. But again, I'm trying to gear myself up here for the Run for Your Lives tour, and it's definitely something to check out. Bruce looks really cool. I do like his kind of get up in this. He has like this really cool kind of white undershirt. It kind of looks like mithril armor. It reminds me of mithril armor for like Lord of the Rings. It's probably cotton or something, but and he has a leather jacket over it. It's simplistic, but it's also kind of like it's classy. The rest of the guys are just kind of dressed in their tour t-shirts and stuff, and they kind of look the same. Adrian's not in this one, obviously. It's Yan. But everybody else is awesome. Nico sounds amazing. It's a really cool show. And it's a really cool live record. If you're kind of into that Fear of the Dark, latter 80s stuff, 90s stuff, early 90s stuff from Maiden, it's worth checking out. It's definitely grown on me a lot. Coming in at number 12, Raising Hell. This DVD, this was filmed in Pinewood Studios in London, England, and it's with a magician, Simon Drake, so it's kind of fascinating. I really do enjoy it. Again, this is kind of the end. This was the last show that Bruce performed with Iron Maiden before he decided to leave and go do his solo career in 93. And this is when they came out with the Hallowed Be Thy Name single, where it's Eddie as a devil and he's impaling Bruce on a pitchfork, basically to say, see you later, Bruce, like you're done. We're gonna carry on without you. But it was a nice cool send off for him, the way they did that and kind of celebrated that. And it's an interesting and unique concert. It's very, very cool. I will say that it's not quite as grandiose as like Donington is. There was like 70 or 80,000 fans in that place. It's more of a smaller, intimate kind of venue or concert. But it's cool that way too, because it is different. And it's not like the same thing. There's kind of like this twist in there, and these little breaks of magician Simon Drake doing stuff to Bruce and like impaling Bruce or like chopping Bruce's head off, and all this really cool, interesting, neat stuff. Definitely worth checking out. That's my number 12, Raising Hell. Really cool concert. Just something different and unique, and it kind of reminds me of being a kid and watching like those after school shows or like Tales from the Crypt. It has like that kind of vibe to it. So it's interesting to watch, and I really enjoy it. Coming in at number 11 is Live at the Rainbow. This was filmed at the Rainbow Theatre in London, England, and this is the first live concert filmed in regards to Iron Maiden. And this is with Paul. This is the first concert with Adrian Smith, too. He had joined the band like a month before they filmed this, and it's pretty much covering stuff from their first studio album, Iron Maiden, but then there's There's a really rough version of Killers, like a prototypical version of Killers before the finalized version came out on the Killers record. And then they play Ides of March in it too, and then the rest is just pretty much Iron Maiden songs. But for what it is, and the fact that it's, the first live Iron Maiden concert, basically footage recorded, it's pretty awesome. There's a picture of Eddie like with a guitar. He's ready to smash something. It looks like he's ready to smash something. But just a very cool raw album, and it's really cool to see Paul in his prime and see the guys. They do an amazing job. Obviously, Phantom of the Opera for me is the highlight of this, but the whole thing is really cool to watch. And if you buy the early days Iron Maiden DVD, this is part of that, and that's a really, really solid DVD. I highly recommend it. And actually, there's a couple concerts from that are in this, 3 of them that I picked, and this is the first one. But it's definitely an awesome, like, I don't want to say it's a compilation, it kind of is, but it just talks about basically everything from Iron Maiden and Killers up to Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind, and it talks about those 4 records pretty much throughout that entire documentary. And then there's concert footage of all kind of like those phases, which is really, really neat. So definitely check it out. Live at the Rainbow, first Iron Maiden recording. Coming in at number 10 is Live at Dortmund. This is from the early days DVD as well. This was filmed in Westfalenhall, Dortmund, Germany. And this is kind of focusing on parts of the Peace of Mind record, but also a lot of the Number of the Beast stuff, and then some songs from Iron Maiden. But this is kind of putting Bruce and Nico at the forefront now, and kind of showing them off. And they're like one of their first concert recordings or debuts. That was actually a live, concert recording. So it's interesting to see that. They don't play a lot of stuff from Peace of Mind. It's more focused on more of the earlier stuff. I think they play The Trooper and I'm trying to think of the other Peace of Mind song they play from this. The Trooper and Flight of Icarus, I think it is. Those 2 songs. And then the rest is a mix of Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden. But it's a really, really awesome concert video. You see Bruce, like, just showcasing his chops. He's unbelievable. Super young. Like, at the apex, his voice is astounding. Nico, super young, too. Like, he had just joined the band, like, a year previously or so. And it just they sound amazing together on this. It's definitely a highlight. And the venue's awesome, Westfalenhall. We're going to see that later, too, in one of my other picks. But definitely worth checking out. Like, this is like some of the early stuff from Maiden that you get to see, and it's so cool how they've grown, but you also get to see their roots. Like, you see how they are and how tight they are as a unit, like a musical unit, and then you just see how that has grown over the years, and some of these ones that I like a little bit better. But even so, like, the rawness and that primal energy that they have is just so infectious. And these first couple ones I listed off, in particular Live at the Rainbow and Live at Dortmund, the other ones, A Real Live Dead one, Live at Donington, and Raising Hell, were later in their career. But these first couple ones here, I mean, you have to see what I'm talking about. Definitely try to find these, or get that early days DVD and put it in and watch these concerts, because they're freaking awesome. Like, to see the origins and the early days of these guys, it's awesome. It's mind-blowing. Moving on from that, coming in at number 9 is Knights of the Dead. This is when they were doing the Legacy of the Beast tour, so this is kind of a newer one. And this was recorded in the Palacio de los Deportes in Mexico City, Mexico, over 3 different nights. And then they picked, the best songs from each. But this is basically the Legacy of the Beast set list from 2018 and 2019. And the reason I'm putting it this high is because I love the Legacy of the Beast set. I've said this before. It's my second favorite set list that I've ever seen in my life, and this is the recording of it. This is the 2018-2019 set list from Legacy of the Beast. And it does have a really nice energy. Bruce has his little quips in there, like, "Welcome to Mexico, Mr. Smith," and he's playing like the Wicker Man, and little tidbits like that. I think it's really, really cool. I enjoy it a lot. The cover art for it is awesome. It's basically Legacy of the Beast Eddie, but he's dressed up like it's the Day of the Dead. They're celebrating that in Mexico, the Day of the Dead, a really big celebration for them. And it's Nights of the Dead, and he's wearing like he has the skull face paint on, Eddie does, and there's like spirit heads flying out in the colors of the Mexican flag, and it's a really cool piece of art and a really cool record. Sadly, they never released a video of this, which is a bummer. I wish they would do that. They got to start doing that with some of these records. Like there's a lot of concert videos and album stuff and concert tours that they haven't recorded, or at least if they did, they haven't released them yet. And I really hope that they do, and this is one of them, because I love the Legacy of the Beast tour. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal, and it needs to have a live video recording. I'm thankful that we got a live record, but I want to see a live video recording. This stuff is unbelievable. Moving on from that, number 8 for me is En Vivo, which means live, simply. So it's basically Iron Maiden live, Iron Maiden En Vivo, Iron Maiden live in Estadio Nacional in Santiago, Chile. This is a really cool concert, and it's really powerful. I do thoroughly enjoy it. And I know I've said on this podcast that The Final Frontier is my least favorite record since the reunion, but I still enjoy the record quite a bit. I still like it a lot. There's just some gripes I have about it. The way it's structured from beginning to end, the listenability factor, and that's pretty much it. And some of the songs could have been a little bit more polished, I think. But I still really, really enjoy the record. And En Vivo is an awesome live concert. They play 5 songs from The Final Frontier on this. They have a nice mixture. They throw a couple Brave New World songs in. Dance of Death, the title track from the Dance of Death record, is in it. Really cool how they brought it back, and it kind of fits the set and this show perfectly. The energy of this concert is awesome. The Chileans are absolutely amazing. And, Bruce has his little shout-outs, too. Like, I forget what he says, like, 50,000 fucking Chileans, and he scream for me, Santiago, and the classic Bruce quips that we've come to love over the years, and it's a really powerful concert. You can see just how many people were there. It's a huge spectacle. It has a kind of like Rock in Rio feel to it, which is really cool, and that's why it is where it is for me. Again, the set list is good, but that's kind of the reasons why it's still kind of like in this middle of the pack place on my list for the live stuff, because the set for me, isn't one of the greatest, not one of my favorites. If you love En Vivo and you love The Final Frontier, you're going to love this album, this live video. But, I'm biased, and I'll be honest, because when we come down the line here, you'll see my next pick, I like it more because of my experience. And like I said in the podcast before, maybe the reason I'm not as into The Final Frontier maybe as I should be is because I never really got to see the set like this where they played a lot of songs from the record. I've only ever seen El Dorado live. So that could be a reason why. But moving on from En Vivo, number 7 is the Book of Souls live chapter, and this is what I was talking about. I love this. This is filmed over multiple world locations. This is on a world tour. And like I said before, it would have been, I think, better in my opinion if it was filmed in one place, but how they did this one for some reason over the multiple world locations, it's so good. And I think for me it touches me deeply because I actually saw this tour live, and this is the exact same set I saw. Like, the full set is exactly the same. So for me, it's like, yeah, this is awesome. I remember seeing these songs and how they looked, and it's kind of the same thing when I listened to Nights of the Dead. I was at the Legacy shows in 2019, so it's the same set list. So I get this feeling like I remember being there, and it takes me back, and I have these little memories in my head. So for that, it's awesome. And the red and the black is amazing on it. The thing about this too, though, is one of the gripes I have with it is they didn't release this as a DVD for us to have. They gave us an audio recording of it. We have the audio. They released that, but they never gave us a live DVD. And I will say, to their credit, they released it online on YouTube or on their website, the whole concert for free for us as fans to go watch. So you can go watch it anytime. But when I go to watch it on YouTube and stuff, and there's all these ads from song to song, or whenever they play a song, there's an ad. It's like I don't want to do that. I want to pop a nice DVD in or a nice Blu-ray in, and just sit there and watch it from beginning to end, and then watch the behind the scenes and all that stuff. Much like they did with some of their earlier releases that they did for live concerts and documentaries. And that's really the only gripe I have about it. You know, I love the Book of Souls record. It's a monumental record. It is really truly a modern day Power Slave, and for that it's astounding. Definitely check out the live chapter, whether you're listening to the audio version. It's really good, or you're listening to or watching the actual video footage of it. It's all the same, and it's astounding. You know, I love watching the video footage because I get to relive my concert experience going to see that tour, but I do really enjoy listening to the audio version too. So definitely check it out. It based around the Book of Souls record, and it's astounding. It's astounding, and that's why it is where it is on this list. Moving on from that, number 6 is Beast over Hammersmith. This was recorded at the Hammersmith Odeon in Hammersmith, England. And this is in this position for me at the number 6 slot because this was like the first time I saw Bruce just screaming his lungs out. I mean, his voice is unbelievable. The sheer strength he has, and he's up on stage wearing like this red shirt and like this leather vest, and he has like this heavy metal gauntlet on with all these spikes and shit coming out, and he's just like whipping the microphone around. He's so energetic, and he's bouncing around, and he's full of life, and you can see just how happy he is and how he takes control of the stage, even at this early stage. Like, he had just joined the band like around this time, and he's just fucking killing it. And when you listen to this, much like I said about live at the Rainbow and live at Dortmund, this is a better example of that, because it's like Bruce in his prime. Like, you could say, yes, he's a fledgling in Iron Maiden, maybe. He's just a new member. But there is no doubt when you watch this video of just how much control that he has and technique at that point in time, and just how much, like, gusto, and how much, I mean, he has a huge chip on his shoulder, and you can see it, but he carries himself so fucking majestically. It's like the earliest days that he's playing with Iron Maiden, and it's almost like he's a master already. He's already a master at stagecraft. Like, he's unbelievable in this video. And much like I said about the other stuff, when you see him now, and then you go back and look at this, you can just see how it's always been there in him. It was something that was like inherently in him from when he started singing, especially with Maiden. He fucking takes control of the crowd, man. He takes control of the venue. He takes control of everything. He's a stage presence master, and it's so deeply conveyed in this, even in the earliest days. And it's so cool to see him, like, just walk on there as a pro, almost, just automatically. It's like an automatic. He's a pro. Like, it's unbelievable. So definitely check that out. And that's based around like the Number of the Beast stuff. So you get to see a lot of stuff from Number of the Beast. 22 Acacia Avenue's on there. It's really neat. Adrian and Davey playing like their Ibanez Destroyer. They kind of look like Gibson Explorer copies. Really cool stuff. So definitely check those out. Very, 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 very cool concert. And again, this is also on the Early Days DVD. So those three I mentioned, Live at the Rainbow, Live at Dortmund, and this one, are all on there. And that's one of the reasons why you should check it out, because it has all these. And please go buy that DVD if you haven't, because it's absolutely phenomenal. If you're really interested in the history of Iron Maiden, the early days, you want to see some like early raw footage of Paul and Bruce in particular, and then Nico as well when he joins, and Clive, and all those guys, and Adrian, and Dave, and Steve, and definitely check this out. They look so young, and they're just so, it's unbelievable. It's so cool to see them in their early days, and to see how far they've come. It's fantastic. Moving on from that, number 5 for me is Maiden England. This was filmed at the Birmingham NEC in Birmingham, England. And the reason this one is so high for me is, I know I've said this a lot, that, you know, Seventh Son is my least favorite record of the 80s with Bruce. It's still an A record. I still love it, but it's my least favorite. The reason this one is so high is because it's so intimate. And when you watch the documentary and the behind the scenes of this, Steve says that. He's like, I wanted to film this like I gave somebody in the audience a camera and they kind of filmed their favorite parts of the show. He wanted to make it like he was like fans are watching this and kind of recording their favorite parts of the show. And the reason he said he did that was because, maybe technically he watched some bootlegs or something and it wasn't technically brilliant, but it really captured the moment. It really captured the moment of the songs and of the time and of the place and of the venue. And it truly does. I mean, watching it, it has a different feel to it. It is more intimate. It does make you feel closer to the band when you watch it. And some of the songs they perform on this are absolutely astounding. Like Seven Son, the title track, is amazing. Infinite Dreams is absolutely phenomenal. They do The Prisoner on this. They do a bunch of really cool stuff. And the stage set is awesome. Another reason I like this so much is because it's the last like tour with Adrian before he decides to leave the band later because of creative differences. And you can just see how much energy he has in particular with this. He really, really gets into this. Not that if you go back and watch, like, let's say, the Beast Saber Hammersmith, like I mentioned, now he just had an injury, like he messed his shoulder up or something in that, but he's kind of like just standing on stage playing guitar. He's not really moving around, and he'd only been in the band at that point in time for like a year and a half, 2 years. You fast forward to like Seventh Son and like the Seven Tour of a Seven Tour, and especially this concert, he is up and moving around. He's bobbing. He looks so animated in this, and it's really cool to see him like that. You could tell he was really, really at that point like, yes, I'm a big part of this band. He started to get a chip on his shoulder. Adrian, he wrote the previous album, Somewhere in Time, several songs for them. He's doing a lot more intricate guitar work on, especially Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son, those two records. He's ripping, and you can see how happy he is when he's playing his solos and how he's destroying things. And it's awesome. It's a really full team band effort, and it's definitely worth checking out. The stage set is awesome. The design is awesome. The production's awesome. If you listen to the live video of this, please do, or the live recording. It's awesome. And I say that as somebody who says that Seventh Son isn't really my favorite record from the Bruce era of the 80s, and I still love this damn thing. I still get back to it. I still watch it. It's very, very good. So check it out. Moving on from Maiden England, Death on the Road. This one focused on the Dance of Death tour and the Dance of Death album. And this was filmed in Westfalen-Holland, Dortmund, Germany, again. And Matt and I talked about this. We did an episode that talked about Death on the Road. And perfect place to do this filming of this record because of the whole notion of the Dance of Death album and the themes within it. Like the Renaissance, castles, kind of like a gothic feel to it. The Hohenheim painting, Dance of Death. And the fact that the stage set was almost like a big castle with these big Grim Reapers on each side. It was just perfect for this tour, this record, this album. This is in this high of a position for me too, is because this is right around the time I started to get into Iron Maiden. It was right after Dance of Death and right before A Matter of Life and Death. And this was one of the first concert DVDs I ever purchased for myself. And I love the record. I love the mixes. I love the behind the scenes on this. I love a documentary on this where they talk about the record. It's a very, very good concert and show, and the highlights of this are all the songs from Dance of Death. Passchendaele's amazing. Journeyman's amazing. No More Lies is amazing. The title track is amazing. This is a really, really strong concert performance, and I love it. I'm not saying Bruce sounds the greatest. I think he had laryngitis. He had some kind of stuff going on with the throat, but he kills it still, even with it. He still sounds amazing. So definitely check this out. They play Lord of the Flies from the X Factor, and it's a really cool recording of it to hear Bruce just do it and to see him do it. Very, very awesome live album, live record. So give it a chance. Check it out. Moving on from that, Flight 666. They filmed this over multiple world locations, and this is based on the Somewhere Back in Time tour. Again, nostalgia sets in for me with this one because this is the exact same set list that I saw when I saw Somewhere Back in Time, and it was my first Iron Maiden concert ever. And the reason that's this high for me is because I was at the East Rutherford, New Jersey show on March 14th of 2008, and they chose to put Rime of the Ancient Mariner from that show on this live recording. Rime of the Ancient Mariner is my favorite Iron Maiden song. It always will be. And even more so, immortalized forever, that the fact that I was part of that crowd. So every time I listen to Rime of the Ancient Mariner from this record, from Flight 666, or watch the Flight 666 DVD and see that video, I was at that show. And it's so surreal to me to be able to watch it and be like, holy shit, I was there. So for me, that's why it's so powerful. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's why this is at number 3 for me. That cements it. Just to have that Rime of the Ancient Mariner, the show I was at, the first Iron Maiden concert I was ever at, the excitement. If you listen to the podcast, you know how excited Matt and I were in like 2006 through 2008. We were like at an all-time high for Iron Maiden, and even years after that. But in particular, those couple years, 05 getting into them and learning about them, 04 for Matt, 04 for me too, but like I didn't get into slightly in 05, like super heavy into him. He was really getting into him a little bit before me, about 6 months before me. But then the build up to A Matter of Life and Death, and when that record came out, 06, 07, 08 for this tour, the Somewhere Back in Time tour, we were just at an all-time high for Maiden in 2009. And I mean, really, for those over 4 years, we were just obsessed. So this for me is that high because of that. And like I said, immortalized forever. Amazing stage set, amazing production. Alive after death for modern day fans is what this represents, and I love it to this day. Number 3, even though it was filmed over multiple, like I said, world locations, I was at the recording of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner video footage, and the audio. So, man, what a knockout. Absolutely love it. Number 2, Rock in Rio. Filmed at the Rock in Rio Festival in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This concert was another thing that really changed my life. This really got me into Maiden, got me to see who they were, what they looked like as people, what their voices sounded like when they talked, all that kind of stuff with the background documentary on this, the Day in the Life background documentary, and all of that stuff. And then just the strength of them as a 6-piece coming out. And this is really powerful to me too, because this is when I first saw what they looked like and how they sounded together in a concert, in footage. And when I talked about this on the Nico McBrain podcast, the We Love You Nico episode, and when I talked about it on the Reflections episode after that, this is my Iron Maiden. This 6-piece band and this concert showed me who Iron Maiden was and what they were about at that point in time in this new era of the band, the reunion. When they reunited and Bruce and Adrian came back and they kept Yannick, and the stuff that they've done since then has just been absolutely phenomenal. And this is my Iron Maiden. It always will be. This concert footage is amazing. The Brave New World record is so epic. It's a phenomenal album. And the energy on this, everybody's reinvigorated because Bruce and Adrian come back into the band. And it feels like they're in their 20s again when you watch it. You can just see how excited they are to be playing together again. And it is an absolutely epic record in front of all these Brazilians, this huge show. And they play extra song Run to the Hills at the end because they were like, we got to play an extra one. This has been absolutely amazing, phenomenal. We're playing an extra show. This is my brother's favorite album, Brave New World. Rock in Rio, first concert DVD I actually ever sat down and watched, period, for any band. It means so much to me, this album. So I'm getting the feels right now. Just my body's tingling because I'm like, wow, I can't believe that this thing I saw this thing 20 years ago, and it still holds up the test of time to be absolutely amazing. Most of these do. Most of these concert videos and live albums do. And this one is just super special to me for that reason. I absolutely love it and adore it. Rock in Rio. Everybody should know it. Go check it out. It is unbelievable. One of the best live concerts of all time. And one of the best Iron Maiden concerts of all time. So then that brings us to the number one, which you all probably know already, is Live After Death. This was filmed in Long Beach Arena in Long Beach, California, in the United States. And on the audio recording of it, there are some songs that they actually filmed at the Hammersmith Odeon in England. So there's parts of that too that are on there from different nights. But the actual Live After Death, like, concert DVD footage is from the bulk of it, the majority of it. That venue is Long Beach Arena in Long Beach, California. And this is the height of them. This is when they amped up production for everything. They have Power Slave stage set, the Ancient Egyptian stage set, the Mummy Eddie that comes out of the background, Walk On Eddie, the amazing Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner song played live on this DVD. And to this day, when you watch this from Live After Death, the rhyme performance in particular, and then you fast forward to 2008, almost, 85 to 2008, that's a long time. That's almost 25 years later. And you watch the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, like the performance of that and how tight it is and how it takes you back to 85. They sound amazing. And then having the extra guitarist there, I tear up watching either one. Because Rhyme is such an amazing song for me. And that's one of the reasons I love it so much. Because in 2008, right before I went to go see Somewhere Back in Time, they released the Live After Death DVD. And I remember sitting there just wearing it out, watching the crap out of it. I watched Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner so many times. And then when I saw it live, and it was amazing, and then they took Rhyme, and they put it on a Flight 666 DVD from the show I was at, that just cemented it as my favorite song at that point, because I would often go back and just compare. Because I can remember sitting there watching Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner from the Live After Death DVD so many times, going to see it live and it not disappointing, just my mind being blown at how amazing it was, because it was like I was watching Live After Death. I was literally there at a venue, and I saw them play Izod, which is the one on the Flight 666 DVD, but then I also took my brother to see them play Rhyme on Somewhere Back in Time, and the whole set from Somewhere Back in Time in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. And they nailed it. And every time I watch either Live After Death or the Flight 666 version, they're both absolutely unbelievable. I shed a tear because it's absolutely beautiful. It's an amazing song. When they all get together at the end there in a line, and the da-da-da-da-da, just to show you how much this band means and how in sync they are, and just how synergistic each person of the band is. To go back and refer to like Nico again and like him leaving and not touring anymore, this is one of the reasons why it's so sad and it kind of hurts so much. Like, if you watch Rhyme, and that song in particular, and there's multitudes of songs that you could watch this with, but I'm using Rhyme as an example because I truly to this day believe that it is the best example to see how much camaraderie, love, synchronicity, and just understanding each other that these guys have when they play together. And if you watch, like I said, if you watch the 85 version from Live After Death, or you watch the 2008 version from Flight 666, Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, watch it from beginning to end, and just see how much fun these guys have playing this song, how in sync they are, how much fun the crowd has. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be absolutely, if you're a true Maiden fan, it is going to be absolutely impossible for you not to look at that and at least smile and have, like this feeling, this overwhelming feeling come over you to be like, man, these guys are amazing. Or to look at it and cry a tear of joy and happiness because you're like, man, this is like I'm watching something holy happen right here. Like, this is amazing. It's like discovering a sacred place, or walking into this place with so much history, lore, and just feeling this incredible emotion of joy and happiness. That's what's so great about it. And I wholeheartedly mean that. I challenge you to watch both of those and check it out. But the reason why this is number one, Live After Death, is because this is where it started. This is the apex of Iron Maiden. This is when they're at the peak of their career with Power Slave. This is when, Rod says this. He's like, I wanted to show the world my boys are big. And that's why we recorded it, to have like this big atmospheric feel. And it hits home. It is an absolutely amazing live record. In my opinion, it's the best live record of all time. It's the best live record of all time. I absolutely love it. I think it's astounding. I never get sick of watching Live After Death. The concert footage, listening to it, I listen to it constantly. Never get sick of it. The artwork that Derek Riggs did for it is absolutely unbelievable. It's timeless. It looks phenomenal. And I know I didn't really get into a lot of artworks throughout these, but every single one of them is great. But special attention to this one in particular, Live After Death, because of how important it is and what it means for Iron Maiden and how they would take this and then continue moving forward through the 80s. And then kind of take the motifs in Live After Death and Power Slave, for that matter, and most of their 80s work. And then when they came back for their reunion, just expand upon them and build upon them to where they're at now, to create some of the most iconic artwork, some of the greatest live shows ever. And that's Live After Death. I really don't have any much more to say about it. I could talk about this record alone. I mean, Matt and I did an entire podcast episode about it. So if you get a chance, go back and listen to that. But, this record is absolutely phenomenal. Best live record of all time, in my opinion. And I kind of want to go off here then and say this. There's so many live shows I wish they would have done stuff with, like Live After Death. And when they first got back for their reunion, they started to do that. They put out Rock in Rio for the promotion of the Brave New World album. They put out Death on the Road for the promotion of the Dance of Death album. We didn't get a live DVD or live album for A Matter of Life and Death, which I think is a shame, because that record means so much to me personally. Maybe they have it somewhere. I hope they do, because it's amazing. It's an amazing album, and I'd love to see a live concert DVD of that, live show of that. They did it for the Final Frontier with En Vivo. They did it. They gave us the Book of Souls live chapter, which was great. And another thing, I never really mentioned this in the podcast. The one gripe that I have about the Future Past tour, I love Somewhere in Time. It's my most relatable album. I love it. It's Adrian's album. Adrian's my favorite guitarist in the band. I love everybody in the band, but just me basically focusing on my parts that make me who I am. I model my guitar playing after Adrian Smith. I love the way he plays. I love the way he writes music, how he composes. His writing credits on the songs are amazing. He's my favorite guitarist. I love Davey and Yan too. Don't get me wrong, I love them all, but he's my favorite. Somewhere in Time is not my favorite record. It's hard for me to say because I love Power Slave and Somewhere in Time so much. Those two in particular. I love Iron Maiden, but those two records mean so much to me personally, from a personal standpoint of 80s material. But the thing about the Future Past tour is we never really got to see a full Senjutsu stage set like they did with the Book of Souls, with all that production and all of that stuff that they threw into it to make it like a modern day Power Slave. It was absolutely phenomenal. And I feel like if COVID wouldn't have interfered, and I feel like if that never happened and they didn't have to cancel the 2020 legacy shows, then they would have done that in 2021 initially, because they had to cancel all the shows in 2021 too. And they would have done a full stage set with, feudal Japan, and they would have had a lot of the stuff that they had on Future Past, but like more focused on Japan and the whole Senjutsu motif, as opposed to that mashup with Somewhere in Time and Senjutsu. I will say this though, they knew that they didn't have enough time and they needed to get this stuff in because they had a lot of stuff planned, and what they gave us was absolutely phenomenal. They did it the best way they could and the best way they knew how, and there was really no other way to do it. So, and for me as a fan, I am thankful I got to see 5 songs from Somewhere in Time and 5 songs from Senjutsu, and I saw 7 songs from Senjutsu total. So I can't complain. I mean, I can't complain. But that is the one gripe, because when I'm going through these live albums, I'm talking about like Rock in Rio and how it was focused on Brave New World and Death on the Road, and how it focused on Dance of Death with the Grim Reaper statues and all those songs from Dance of Death, and the whole motif was based around that one central theme. They kind of broke it up, and they had to with Future Past, because they had to do two themes. They had to do Somewhere in Time and Senjutsu. But I think they did a hell of a job doing it. But that's one gripe I have. A small one, but that's it. I do have two honorable mentions, too, if you get a chance. The BBC Archives is really cool. It's a live album. It's kind of like I don't want to say it's a compilation. It's just a bunch of different live shows. A lot of the early stuff with Paul, and a lot of the early stuff with Bruce. It's kind of similar to the Live at Dortmund, Live at the Rainbow, and Beast Over Hammersmith in a way. There's a lot of stuff in there. And then there's some stuff in there from Seven Son that they kind of threw in, like live recordings of that. Just a couple songs with Bruce and those guys in the BBC Archives. It's a cool compilation. Definitely, check it out if you get a chance. It didn't make the list because I feel like it doesn't really focus on a specific era that much. But it is really cool if you're looking for different versions of certain songs live, especially the earlier stuff. Very, very cool. Definitely worth checking out. And then, this isn't technically a live concert video or anything, but Visions of the Beast, that DVD that you can buy, it's a really cool way to look at the music videos of Iron Maiden and see them. And a lot of their music videos kind of have like this concert feel to them. Some are more like based around like an actual music video where, there's a theme around it and they're doing weird stuff, or they're in some kind of fantasy world and things like that. But one of them in particular, one of my favorites on the Visions of the Beast DVD is the Stranger in a Strange Land video, because they're on like a concert stage and there's like an inflatable Eddie coming up in the background, and Bruce is wearing these really cool like futuristic cyberpunky space trouser things, he calls them. Adrian's solo on it's awesome. He plays this amazing custom Jackson he has with like a bunch of different knobs and tonalities on it, and it just sounds so cerebral and so raw and dynamic. I love it. But yeah, definitely check out Visions of the Beast and check out the BBC Archives if you get a chance. They're really cool supplements to all the stuff I talked about. But that's been my ranking of some of my favorite Iron Maiden live albums and live concert DVDs, or live concert footage, live concert appearances, so to speak, or recordings. Definitely get your hands on some of these if you haven't yet. They are definitely worth checking out. I recommend pretty much every single one that I said wholeheartedly. They're all different and they're all unique, and they're all different phases of the band. But like I said, I hope down the line we get more of some of the stuff that they didn't do, like A Matter of Life and Death would be nice. I mean, that's really, since the reunion, that's really the only album they never really gave us anything on. And so far, Senjutsu too. We don't really have a live recording of Senjutsu. And I would love to see them release video footage of the Legacy of the Beast tour, a video concert, video footage of, like I said, Future Past would be cool. And then hopefully with the Run for Your Lives tour, they do a live record with that, or a live album, or they do like a live footage, concert footage. But then again, they may not, because Nico's not going to be there. So are they going to do that? I don't know. Probably not. We'll see. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. What's your favorite live concerts, videos, or live concert albums, or live albums from Iron Maiden? Let me know what you guys think about my list, or what your favorite stuff is, or if there's anything more that you'd like to add. But as always, thanks for listening to A Matter of Life and Maiden, the podcast of the Beast. I'm Joe Labriola. Everybody take care of yourselves out there. I'll see you guys next time.